Topic 4. Who is this game made for? Every simplification, every deletion of a system, every dumbing down of an interesting mechanic has always been seen as making the game more approachable. My question is, with this never-ending crusade of making the game easier and easier without ever expanding the available content or adding on to the existing gameplay formula, what is the end goal for Final Fantasy XIV? Everything I loved about the game has either been removed or dumbed down to the point of being menial. As someone who got into the game for the unique class design and amazing raid encounters, I've had to sit and watch as all the interest in class design was slowly whittled away, making every class dull and homogenized. I've had
Okay, I can agree with that. The 2-minute meta kind of, it really sucks, man. So if you're not a fan of that, then yeah, I can, I sympathize. I don't like it either, man,
to sit and watch as all the creativity and
I will say this though, I think the raid design, I think the encounter has only gotten better and more creative. So that part of what his issue is, I think is wrong. Like the amount of creativity now versus back then is crazy. The fights are so much harder now than they were from back then.
raid design slowly evaporated into a mishmash of reusing the exact same mechanics for years on end. And if the trend continues, at some point, your favorite features will end up being dumbed down or deleted. So what is the end goal here? Who is the game made for? Cat moms who play 1 hour a month and spend that entire time crying because the pixels on the screen said a sad word?
How is enjoying the story and being emotionally involved with the story, how is that any less important or any more significant than like an ultimate clear? I don't understand.
Leveling roulette mains who spend the entire expansion leveling classes that they will have no use for at max level? Roleplay mains?
This is just so bitter, dude. Leveling is something that people enjoy. Some people like to just grind out all the jobs. This game is supposed to be for everybody. Okay, we're all like paying customers, right? Square Enix is trying to make this game for as many people as possible, right? I gotta tell you, man, dude, if you haven't been to the club, you're missing out. We had some really good club streams, man. It was insane, dude. He's trying to devalue what other people play the game for. And I don't think that's right. If you want to cry about a character, I think you should be able to be invested in that character because it's part of the story. They put a lot of work into the story. And I feel like that is just as important as like clearing a fucking raid. Now, I will say this. Is it important to me? Absolutely not. My highest highs are when I clear ultimates. But that doesn't make what I value more important than what other people value. It's a very personal thing. And if what you value is the story or clubbing or leveling, then that's how you play the game. And you should keep playing the game like that. This is a point that I don't think he understands. Who is this game for anymore? The answer is everyone. And that's just so weird. That's so weird that you would word it like that. Like a cat mom crying on stream. They're having a good time. I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. I feel like that this person got done dirty in the game. And instead of dealing with it on their own, they're trying to blame the game when it was probably their fault or they had a wrong expectation of the game. That's what I think.
Because the pixels are cat moms who play 1 hour a month and spend that entire time crying because the pixels on the screen said a sad word? Leveling roulette mains who spend the entire expansion leveling classes that they will have no use for at max level? Roleplay mains who don't even do any content at all and spend their sub money dancing at player-made clubs? Look, I'm not...
But it's their money. But it's their money. Let them play the game how they want. Like, not everybody has to raid in this game, dude. Not everybody has to raid in this game, man.
I'm not trying to do any content at all and spend their sub money dancing at player-made clubs. Look, I'm not trying to shit on those kinds of people.
I mean, you just did. You literally just did. You're literally devaluing their experience.
But if that's who the game is targeting, then why even bother making high-end raids? Why even bother adding new classes to the game? Why even bother with anything but the MSQ?
Okay, see, this is where this person doesn't understand that the game is for everyone. This person, I believe, genuinely thinks that the game should be catered to only people that raid. And while raiding is my favorite part of this game, you have to accept that this game is for everyone. And when it's not your time to play, then it's not your time. I'll give you an example. There's no raid coming out. We're done for the expansion. So that means for the next 9 or 8 months, I'm going to be... I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna be hanging out. There's a Criterion dungeon coming out. I'm gonna do that and never do it again. I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna hang out with you guys. We're gonna do some Unreals. We're gonna do the raid tier. Just bullshit. Not every week. Not all the time, but every here and there, maybe once or twice a week, and it's gonna be fun. That's my plan. I already have this expectation going into this expansion. Like, look, guys, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much we bitch, how much we want, how much we try. We cannot get them to put more shit into the game if they don't want to. We can suggest it to them, which I have been suggesting ideas for years, and they've implemented a lot of those ideas. But not everything that we want them to do, they're going to do. The best thing that I can tell you, at least what helped me, is you need to accept the game for what it is. You need to speak out for problems that you have. And if it doesn't get resolved, it's not going to get resolved, man. Why accept mediocrity? Because we can't change it. If we could change it, we would. But here's a thought, right? I used to think like him, that rating was the most important, that nothing else mattered and all that shit. But over the years, I was like, you know what? They're only adding so many raids. They're only adding, so many trials, and they're adding a bunch of casual stuff. You know what? This game's just not for me. It's just not about me. It's about everybody. This game is made for everybody. Okay, so when I play this game, I absolutely love this game. And this game leaves me wanting more. Not because I don't like it, but because I enjoyed it so much that I want more, which is why I want more ultimates, which is why I want more rating, which is why I want Criterion to be good. Obviously, that's not going to be for everybody, okay? That's not going to be for if you're really salty about the game or you're really bitter about the game, then obviously that's not going to be for you. Then you need to quit. Then you need to quit. But for me, whenever I'm wanting more of this game, it's because it was so good to begin with.
The point I'm targeting, then why even bother making high-end raids? Why even bother adding new classes to the game? Why even bother with anything but the MSQ? The point I'm trying to make is that on top of catering to the cat moms of leveling roulette mains and RP enjoyers, the game used to cater to everyone.
What?
Is that on top of catering to the cat moms of leveling roulette mains and RP enjoyers, the game used to cater to everyone. It used to cater to the high-end raid enjoyers who wanted in-depth class design to master and...
There it is right there. There it is. There it is. And there's the point of the whole video. We're 13 minutes in and we finally get to the point of the video. There it is. That's why.
The game used to cater to everyone. It used to cater to the high-end raid enjoyers who wanted in-depth class design to master and theorize how to maximize on a fight-by-fight basis. It used to cater to the mid-core, semi-invested players who wanted a goal to chase with relic weapons.
I fucking hate it when people say that relic is mid-core. It just drives me fucking crazy, man. Like, how stupid can you be? The relic is not mid-core. It's never been mid-core. It never will be mid-core. Jesus fucking Christ. This game has always catered to everyone. Every single fucking expansion. There wasn't some magical expansion where it only catered to a certain fucking type of player, man. In every single expansion, they've always had... Dude, like... What this person said is literally counterintuitive. Like, he literally contradicts himself, because right here, the 14 expansion checklist, 3 savage raids, 3 alliance, 7 trial bosses, a dungeon, okay? And then here, he said it used to cater. How did that formula change? It didn't. It still caters to the same people now as it does back then. The only difference is they made jobs easier but made mechanics harder. Remember the cup? Man, this this fucking cup right here. This NFT, yo, these NFTs are gonna sell for so fucking much, dude. Remember the fight design cup? When you make jobs easier, okay, but you make mechanics harder, it's a different type of difficulty. It means the jobs are easier, but the mechanics are harder, versus back in the day where the mechanics were easier, but the jobs were harder. Like, the difficulty of the cup is more or less the same.
Simply play the patch by coming back once every 4 months to complete all the new content in 4 hours and go, oh, that was cool, I guess, and then log out for 4 more months. It doesn't seem that way with how slow the gearing up process takes, or the hooks they have to keep you resubbing with things like the auto demolition timer for housing, where you can't take a break longer than 45 days. But if they want us to continue playing week after week, paying our monthly $15 entry fee, then why are they removing all of the interest and challenge for players who do spend a large amount of time playing the game?
This person thinks that because he can't log into the game every single day with something new to do, that that's a problem. No, because this game is not designed for you to log in every day. Just because you play it that way or you try to play it that way, that doesn't mean that it's bad. That means it's just not for you. And that sucks when your favorite game is not for you. That's just the bottom line. This whole video, in my opinion, is coming from a bitter perspective of a person that wants this game to be something that it's not. Just because this game is not a hardcore game where you log in and have dailies and you grind your life away, that doesn't mean that the game is bad. That means that it's not your type of game. And this person, they will not accept that this game is not for them. And I'm also guilty of this. I used to play the game the same way this person did. I used to have very similar mentality to what this person does. But over the years, I realized that this game is just not that type of game, man. I quit Ion, but I played Ion Classic. And let me tell you, that shit was fucking miserable. That shit was horrible. I had to log in every single day. And if I missed a day, I fell behind. I would log in for a minimum of like 6 hours. I don't want to do that shit anymore. I love Final Fantasy for the fact that I don't have to do that. Now, do some people want to do that with this game? Yes. Are you okay with being upset that this game doesn't have it? Me, I think, no, I don't think that's okay. I think that you need to understand what this type of game is. However, the want to have more out of this game, I think is completely fine, and I think it's completely acceptable.
That making everything easier and simpler ends up keeping new players invested for longer. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think expanding the available content, keeping a high skill ceiling for players to master, and constantly creating unique encounters to genuinely challenge your gameplay ability gives players a reason to play the game more than the required 4 hours a patch.
So when he mentioned having a super high skill ceiling, I disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that is, again, because this game is for everyone. If you have a super high skill ceiling, you will run into an issue like you did in Heaven's Ward. You do not want that. People think that they want that, but you do not want that. You don't, trust me. Because when you have a situation like that, jobs are excluded. People are more toxic and they will kick you for not performing well. Now, you do want a discrepancy from ceiling and floor. You do want it. But as far as a super massive gap, no, you can't. Man, this game is for everyone. I don't know how many times I have to fucking say that, but this game is designed for everyone. Nail it into your fucking head, smash it into your brain. This game is not just for a certain type of player. Pre-buff patch Abyssos, that was fucking horrible. That was just a little taste of what Heaven's Ward was like. That was a little tiny taste, and it was absolutely fucking miserable. You do not want a massive ceiling and a massive floor. Now again, would I want that? Yes. Is it good for the game? No. I want that because I enjoy that type of stuff. But just because I enjoy being a sweaty min-max piece of shit doesn't mean that everybody does. Okay? That doesn't mean that everybody does. And because this game is made for everybody, you just can't have it.
Game more than the required 4 hours a patch. I used to think that all the simplification to class design would mean players would have an easier time getting better at the game so they could tackle harder content, but as I'm sure all of you know, that all the simplification to class design would mean players would have an easier time getting better at the game so they could tackle harder content, but as I'm sure all of you know, even in FF's easiest state of all time, people in Roulettes are still terrible at their classes. People in Party Finder groups are still floor magnets that do 1 DPS. And again, I'm not trying to shit on these people. My point is that if someone doesn't have an interest in taking that step into the world of playing well and learning to optimize, then they just won't. No amount of simplification, homogenization, and dumbing down or deletion of systems is going to make Johnny Two Fingers become a good player.
See, I don't think he understands why they made the 2-minute window. They made the 2-minute window because they could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, they make it easier. But 2, which I think is the more important reason. It lets them design encounters easier, and it lets them do more creative shit with mechanics. When he said that there's a lot of people that suck, I agree to that to a certain extent. But if you were to put P10 in Heaven's Ward or in A Realm Reborn, dude, nobody's clearing it. The shit's too fucking hard. The difficulty from raids now versus like back then is vastly different. Like, dude, P10 is insane in comparison to like T12 or T11 or T13. Like, it's so much harder. But the thing is people are clearing it. There's more players today than there was back then, and there's more people raiding today than there was back then. So they know what they're doing. Do they fuck up? Absolutely. Nobody's perfect. Look at the fucking healers. You know what I'm saying? I think the 2-minute window is garbage. I think that the state of healers is pretty garbage. I'm not saying that that everything about this game is perfect, but I'm saying that a majority of issues that this person has, they just don't exist. Yes, there's bad players, but there's bad players in every game. What MMO doesn't have bad players?
No amount of simplification, homogenization, and dumbing down or deletion of systems is going to make Johnny Two Fingers become a good player. It just makes the game less interesting and fun for those of us who want to spend a little more time on the game and get a little more invested. And this is the crux of everything I've said. The path Final Fantasy XIV has been going down does not tangibly improve the game for new players, because eventually they too will become veterans and reach a point where there is no more challenge or interest in the game for them.
I don't think that makes any fucking sense. I think that this person is forgetting how overwhelming this game is to a new player. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you started in Shadowbringers or Endwalker, and when you started to play the game, you were vastly overwhelmed with the amount of shit that you could do? I'm talking about all of the raiding, all of the primals, all of the ultimates. That's not including all the extra bullshit that I haven't even done. Like the story, all of that shit. That stuff takes a long time to get through. Okay, if you're trying to prog T, that's going to take a little bit of time. Or even UCOB or UWU. Yes, I know you can clear those in 1 lockout, 2 lockout, whatever. But you can also not. Okay? You can also not. I know people that have progged in UWU for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and can't get a clear just because it's been fucking rough, man. You know, it's been fucking rough. If I were a new player, I would want to do like the old raids. Obviously, they're not how they used to be, but I would want to try to experience them. There's a lot of shit in this game, man, for a new player. And I think that he has no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Improve the game for new players, because eventually they too will become veterans and reach a point where there is no more challenge or interest in the game for them.
Going by that logic, if there's more new players than veteran or whatever, right? Then when the new player became a veteran, wouldn't there be more new players? I'm failing to see how the direction of the game has gone is harmful for newer players. It's gotten better for newer players. I feel like that this person is completely oblivious to any other mentality other than his own. At the beginning of the video,
activity towards their perfect game. Whenever someone brings up a problem they have with the game, they have to keep adding disclaimers that everything is fine out of fear of invoking the wrath of the FF lovers.
Yeah,
this is
such a waste of... so this right here, he's trying to paint a false narrative where I'm afraid of the, I guess, feedback that I'll get or something from like newer players not agreeing to me or casuals or some shit. I don't give a fuck. I talk this way because I want to make sure that everyone understands that I'm trying to think of as many different type of players as possible. Right from the get-go, he's already wrong on his assumption of this. This is like clipped completely out of context, by the way.
And Roulettes are still terrible at their classes. People in Party Finder groups are still floor magnets that do 1 DPS. And again, I'm not trying to shit on these people.
If anyone is afraid of the backlash, I think it's him. You just shit on them, but you have to say that you're not trying to shit on them. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me, man.
Point is that if someone doesn't have an interest in taking that step into the world of playing well and learning to optimize, then they just won't. No amount of simplification, homogenization, and dumbing down or deletion of systems is going to make Johnny Two Fingers become a good player.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that entirely because the removal of positionals based on now from Heaven's Word has insanely made melee DPS easier and made melee DPS players deal more damage. Removing of tank stance has made tanks do more damage. All of the changes that they have made players better, naturally. I don't see how you can possibly say that changing melee positionals to not drop your combo is not a buff to shitty players. It's clearly going to make people better. Lowering the ceiling and increasing the floor, that is what Square Enix knows like best. That's what they're good at, and they have been very successful. More people are clearing raids than it was a long time ago, and there's more people raiding now than there were a long time ago.
It just makes the game less interesting and fun for those of us who want to spend a little more time on the game and get a little more invested. And this is the crux of everything I've said. The path Final Fantasy XIV has been going down does not tangibly improve the game for new players, because eventually they too will become veterans and reach a point where there is no more challenge or interest in the game for
I just disagree with that. I disagree with that entirely because, well, I already talked about it, but if someone takes a break from the game or they don't currently play the game, I'm not trying to discredit their opinion, but if you approach it from a very bitter perspective and you haven't played the game in a long time, then you're probably not going to be up to date, and you should probably not speak on the subject.
That I gave 12,000 hours of my life to and 6 years of enjoyment has taken away everything I once enjoyed about it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's another hard pill to swallow. This person thinks that because they spent 6 years on a game and they have 12,000 hours that Square Enix owes them. Square Enix doesn't owe you a fucking thing. They owe you nothing. Okay? You paid the sub, you got the content. That is what you paid for. You got the content. It would be different if you were still paying the sub and they weren't giving you any content. Like, let's say they just stopped releasing content. Then, okay, yes, then they owe you something. But this game, which he stated at the beginning of the video, has had the same schedule. The exact same schedule, man, for 8 years. You paid and you knew what you were getting. I feel like sometimes we forget how good we have it when we play 14, and it's easy to get frustrated because the game is so good and it keeps us wanting more. That's my perspective. You could have an entirely different one, and I'm sure yours is valid. Eventually, I will quit this game and I will not play it anymore. And when I quit the game and when I don't play it anymore, I'm not going to remember it as I spent 12,000 hours in 6 years of my life, and now the game isn't what I want anymore. I'm going to think I spent 12,000 hours in 6 years of my life getting exactly what I wanted, having the time of my life. It was one of the best times of my life. I honestly think this person is just ass hurt, and he decided, hey, everybody else is making a fucking video about the game sucks, so I'm going to jump on the train. Which is really weird to me, because if you no longer play the game, then why do you care? There's just some red flags, man. So the first red flag is, you know what? We only have 12 seconds left.
I just want the game I once loved to be good again. It has been in the past, and I desperately hope it will be in the future. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so
taking away everything I once enjoyed about it. I just want the game I once loved to be good again.
Okay, so that is subjective right there, because his version of good can differ from my version of good. So that means because he doesn't like it, the game's not good anymore. You see how that's bitter? It's extremely biased and bitter. The main reason I watched this video was because on one of my clip comments, I got a bunch of people saying, man, I really wish you would have watched it. I wanted to see his opinion on it. So you know what? Yo, fuck you, Twitch idiots. This happened today because of YouTube frogs. That's right, YouTube frogs. Ooh, there were a couple comments on YouTube frogs. Yeah, that's right. Get fucked, idiots. That's what the Twitch stream was today. YouTube frogs fucked you today. That's why. Because I felt bad because there were some people that was like, man, you know, I really wanted to hear his opinion on the video, which I really appreciate that people actually care that much about my opinion. I try really, really hard, man, to think about as many different people as I can. I learned a long time ago, well, a while ago, that the game is not what I want it to be. The game is close to what I want it to be, but not exactly what I want it to be. And does that make it bad? Absolutely not. That just makes it me wanting more. But this perspective is just wrong, man. It's just, in my opinion, it's just wrong. Like, if he's gonna say this,
has taken away everything I once enjoyed about it.
Okay, so you got a lot of time invested in the game, and, you know, while I've disagreed with almost everything this person has said, I can sympathize with Lynx. I can. And the reason why is because I used to feel this way. I used to think this way. You just got to accept that the game's for everybody, man. Okay, so there are some things that are in here that are definitely just wrong. I don't know why the fuck, like conal AoEs, the attribute points, the cross class. Like, guys, that's just shame on him for putting that in there, because he knows that none of that shit, it's better without that shit. But he put that in there to make the game look bad. That's the Racked. You guys asked for it. Maybe next time you won't fucking ask for a Racked. That's it. Racked over. We did it. Only took 4 fucking hours, but the rack's over. Want to shout out to YouTube Frogs for making this rack possible. Here is the video. I will say this. While I disagree with a lot of this video, and I think it comes from bitterness and shit, the things that we share similar opinions on, I am with him 100%. So anyway, that's it. Racked over.